shrutam cha bhavata panchalyai shinvato mama aharishye shirastasya yaste manani putraha. Furthermore, Krishna says, I have personally heard you promise, Draupadī, that you would bring forth the head of the son, the head of the killer of her sons. And also next text we're doing today, because there's no purport to this, at 179. Tadasao vadyatang papa atatayatma bandhuha Bhartuscha vipriyam virya kritavan kula pong sanaha. This man is an assassin and a murderer of your own family members. Not only that, but he has also dissatisfied his master. He is but a burnt remnant. He is but the burnt remnants of his family. Kill him immediately. So Krishna is given what? He's given like maybe 4 reasons for killing Ashvatthama. He's an assassin. He killed Arjuna's own family members. Yeah? And he didn't satisfy his master, which might justify this work, and so he might just be taken as a servant of the master, and the master might be at fault. And also he's not even qualified descendant of his family. Okay, so this is a little background here, because sometimes we lose the significance of what's going on because we're focusing on the specific verse, and we realize actually it's a part of a entire story here, a whole drama that we're being allowed to enter into each day, and I guess even become absorbed. Have a real suspicion that one way of presenting the Bhagavatam, actually Bhagavatam is supposed to live the Bhagavatam, and it's a pretty ample story. And as Jayananda told us, Jayananda said, the Prabhupada said, if you just go on chanting Hare Krishna, you'll see pastimes that you never read in any of my books. So, and maybe you've had that experience, like if you're studying the prayers by Queen Kunti over and again and chanting, and then you start to get these impressions or realizations, well, this is why she's saying that here. Well, that's her consciousness. And then something in the purport or previous verse will then fit right in and make more sense, like that. So again and again, each time it becomes richer. 1 second here, let me go ahead and turn off my Skype. I got... Okay, Hare Krishna. Put me offline. Okay. And so, of course, the basic principle, very basic, is that Sudha Goswami, who's pictured here as a fellow with gray hair and a little bit of a beard, flower garland, nice silver lota, is seated in a comfortable place here in the forest, and different sages, and Naimisharanya, which is a very beautiful place, very pleasant. If you want to live very simply, you can live there, no problem. Naimisharanya, there's roots and fruits, and some generous ashrams have free chapatis with no salt or butter available, like that. And so you can live there for free with no problem. And take a rock and carve a hole in the side of the hill, just big enough to lie down in. Take some grass and weave it into a mat. To put some grass as a bedding. Put another mat on top of that to keep it kind of flat. Crawl into your horizontal cave, and put another piece of woven grass mat up against the door, and your body will hold it there. And practically speaking, there's your economic development. You got a place to sleep where you're not going to be too bothered, and daytime you can go to the ashrams and engage in this kind of hearing and chanting, like that. Bathe, So this is from the very beginning. Somebody, Vyasadeva or somebody, is giving us the first 3 verses of Bhagavatam, And then the fourth verse says, once upon a time in Naimisharanya, Sutta Goswami was elected, and the sages asked him several very practical questions. And of course they're very practical for us too. Like, what is the essence of all the world's literature? And what is the best of all the literature? And what does it tell us about how to live, to achieve the highest goal? And what is that goal? What is the highest dharma? Then specifically, in that perspective, what are the different incarnations? And especially the Krishna incarnation. What are their messages? That's kind of high for us because maybe we don't belong to this Vedic culture so much. But on the other hand, everybody loves a story. I'm doing a little bit of my, my karma yoga here, of matching up my desires to learn things. Right now I found this book, Harry Lorraine's Page-a-Minute Memory Book. And he's one of these big memory fellows. And he's, very, very good. The way the book is written is very good. As an actual manual, practical manual. And the techniques he's teaching from memory, I knew some of them before a little bit, but here it's being presented very systematically. And I think even his books, this is a later book, and he's learning how to present this stuff. Then on the YouTube, under memory, there's some things there too. So this is useful, how to memorize verses, how to remember things, but also to get into some psychology about how the mind, which can be our best friend or our worst enemy, works. For example, if I show you a face and I say, this is Mr. Baker, okay, and then I show somebody else the face and I say, this man is a baker, and maybe after some time, 10 minutes, I go showing faces, the chance that you'll remember the name of that person connected to his face is much less than the fact that the other person remember that he's a baker, like that. And so, because our mind has all these connections, baker smells like this, baker works in this place, I know a baker, we tried to buy a bakery, like that. So, Prabhupada says that Vyasadeva left us so many stories, and Sutta Goswami is telling stories about people. So we're doing our yoga is Gandharva Veda, drama, music, dance. We're storytellers, and we use that to get across logical philosophy, to get across jnana, and so people can develop like a logical understanding. But at heart, the story and all the connections, that goes deeper. So the Puranas, which are full of stories, are good from the beginning because they attract all of us because we like stories, and ultimately they're better than just the jnana, because ultimately life is a story, with all the different bhavas and so on. So this is the general background. The Sutta Goswami is answering their questions, and in the course of this he explains that Srimad Bhagavatam is the essence of all these scriptures, and it's the best thing to study and become, focus on. The sages asked, well, why did Vyasadeva write this? He already wrote everything else. All the other books were there. And he explains that the other books were not proper. They didn't include sufficient direct glorification of Krishna. And then Narada Muni came and confirmed this, as we should. We should confirm our realizations with Guru, devotees, and with the scriptures. And so then finally Vyasadeva gets the full motivation to write the Bhagavatam. So this chapter 7 then starts with how Vyasadeva, after his guru left, how he started to compile the book, to do his Sankirtan. And then the book is being glorified. So 177, I hope you can see that, I hope we're online still too. It says, Sutta Goswami says, simply by giving oral reception to this Vedic literature, the Bhagavatam, the feeling of loving devotional service to Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, sprouts up at once, to extinguish the fire of lamentation illusion, and fearfulness. Lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness. This kind of feeds into Mother Ermeli yesterday, saying that right from the very beginning there must be some kind of higher taste, feeling like that. It's kind of being confirmed here. But that's the people who can give oral reception to the Bhagavatam. Right away there's some feeling, sprouts up. Yeah. Then 3 verses. Then they ask this question. Well, why did he take all the time to study this book and everything else? So in this chapter, maybe the most prominent verse, one we should memorize, is 1.7.10. Sutta Goswami said, all varieties of Atmaramas, those who take pleasure in the Atma or spirit self, especially those established on the path of self-realization, though freed from all kinds of material bondage, desire to render unalloyed devotional service unto the personality of Godhead. That means that they also want to serve Krishna with no particular motivation. Yeah. So why did he study this? Well, he studied it because, not to get anything out of it, because he wanted to serve Krishna. This means, why? That the Lord possesses transcendental qualities and therefore can attract everyone, including liberated souls. It's, of course, one of the most essential verses in the whole Bhagavatam. Actually, we're in Naimisharanya, and we at the Nardananda ashram, which is on 200 acres or something, very old. So one guy there with a big beard, who was in charge of the dispensary, friendly with us, so he said, "Oh, tomorrow is a meeting of sannyasis, so your sannyasi should go there." So 5 of us went there, and they sat me down, like 30, maybe I told this story, 30 Mayavadi. Well, they'll have 3-line tilak on, horizontal. But in North India, in many cases, it's like a formality. They would chant Hare Rama. So they were all sitting there like these 30, Indian sannyasis, and they sat me up, like Sutta Goswami or something, put the dog up on the thing. And Raktak, who was translating, my disciple there, to Hindi, he said that a couple of them were muttering, "Oh, what is this? This guy knows nothing. He's a foreign guy, this and that, And their acharya was there, and our host was the medical guy. And so, first I quoted the one, Vedanti tat va vidas, Vedanti tat va vidas, tatvam yaj, jnanam advayam, brahmati paramatmati bhagavan iti shabdate. And some people see it as Brahman, some people see it as Bhagavan, Paramatma. So it's all okay. But then we went to this verse. But, Krishna possesses qualities that stimulate people like that. So they were quite impressed. If they pushed me for more Sanskrit, I might have fallen apart or something. But they were quite impressed with the idea, and also that we've actually been educated by Prabhupada like that. So opportunities may come. Atmaramas chamunayo nirgranta api urukrame koravanti ahoitakim bhaktim hitambuto ganohare. Okay, so close your eyes now, let's all chant together. Atmaramas chamunayo nirgranta api urukrame koravanti ahoitakim bhaktim hitambuto ganohare. Then in the purport, which is fantastic purport, we probably could spend the whole week just in this purport. One thing that stood out for me was, Prabhupada says, unalloyed devotional service of the Lord progresses in different stages. Okay, because it says practice of devotional service in the material field is of 81 different qualities, and above such activities is the transcendental practice of devotional service, which is one, and is called sadhana bhakti. So 81, Kapila explains this, that if we're practicing devotional service in the material field, maybe we're practicing it there because the material field is our preaching field, okay. And so it will look like we're doing things according to the modes of material nature, and we may let that happen. We may let ourselves become angry. We may let ourselves lament. We may let ourselves understand, like that. But it may be because we're attached. We have some attachment. And then as the modes influence us according to our particular karma and the karma going on in the universe around us, then our devotional service will be in the mode of ignorance, or a devotional service in the mode of passion, or devotional service in the mode of goodness. Kapila explains that devotional service in the mode of ignorance is carried out because of fear. Oh God, please don't chastise me. Oh God, please forgive me for eating those extra rasagulas. Oh, passion. Oh God, give me this. Let my project be successful, so that all the guys will be envious of me. How many books I distributed, how many devotees I have, how many temples I have, how many verses I can remember. Oh, what's the other one? Oh God, let me understand this. Get knowledge of devotional service and act properly. Mostly for liberation. From everything. So then, of course, 3 modes times 3 times 3 is 27. Is 81. So we can be executing devotional service in the mode of ignorance, goodness, 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 or ignorance, ignorance, goodness, or ignorance, ignorance, goodness, goodness. So it becomes complicated. But Prabhupada is saying sadhana bhakti becomes one, like that. And so what's the word? Diksha kale bhakti kari atma samarpan. Say Kali Krishna Kari Tara Atmasam. This is a verse quoted in the Nectar of Instruction, from the instructions to Sanatana Goswami. And so many verses there in Nectar of Instruction, so many places are from Sanatana Shiksha, instructions to Sanatana Goswami. Madhya 19 is instructions to Rupa Goswami, and then 20 through 23, I think. 20, 21, 22, 23, maybe, are the instructions to Sanatana Goswami. Diksha Kale, at the time of initiation, Bhakti Kari, when the devotee does, Atma Samarpan, self-surrender, Krishna, Diksha Kale, Krishna Kari, Kari Atma Sam. At that time, Krishna takes him as good as himself. So the indication is, for formality of second initiation, when we fully surrender to the service of Krishna, in his form of the deity. So that requires that we give ourselves to bathing, dressing, cleaning, cooking, making money, cultivating his fields, everything. And of course, first initiation can bring you to that level without formally taking it like that. But at that point, Krishna takes him as good as takes us as good as himself. So a pujari who's worshiping the deity, a ISKCON devotee, properly situated, that his devotional service is one. It's not of course there are different levels of sadhana bhakti, but basically his service is for Krishna, not modes of material nature. He doesn't not sochati, not kangshati. Samasara, Brahma Bhuta. He's a Brahmin, and I've seen that. I notice ISKCON Brahmins, and devotees like that, on that level, they something happens, disturbing, whatever, but they're pretty much free from hankering and lamenting. They're fixed. They got some higher taste. Then Prabhupada continues, when unalloyed practice of sadhana bhakti is matured into transcendental love for the Lord, the transcendental loving service of the Lord begins gradually developing into 9 progressive stages of loving service. Now this is confusing because in our Bhakti Bhava program we're on the 4th canto now, struggling along there, trying to make a pathway for that devotees can make it a little more healthy in the future. But it talks about 9 processes, and we were thinking it meant the 9 processes of Shravanam Kirtanam. But now that I'm reading this, I can't remember exactly where it was, but I didn't go back. I'm pretty sure it wasn't talking about that. It was talking about these 9 processes. And they gradually develop in 9 progressive stages of loving service under the heading of attachment, love, affection, feelings, affinity, adherence, following, ecstasy, and intense feelings of separation. Now, of course, where do the translations of these words come from? Maybe Bhaktisiddhanta made them, or Prabhupada may have had to make these decisions like that. But probably to translate it from Sanskrit is difficult. Then this probably goes on to explain the attachment of an inactive devotee, Shantaras, develops up to the stage of transcendental love of God. So we look back, first there's attachment and love. Attachment up to the stage of love of God. Attachment of an active servitor, Dashiras, develops up to the stage of adherence, and that for a friendly devotee develops up to the stage of following. And the same is also the case for parental devotees. Devotees in conjugal love develop ecstasy up to the stage of intense feelings of separation. These are some of the features of unalloyed devotional service. So, if you're a karmi, you're attracted by this and that. If you're an atmarama, where you're on the path of self-realization, actually following, then you have mixed devotional service, and for certain reasons you approach Krishna, want to serve him. Then if you're actually an initiated devotee under a bona fide spiritual master, and are engaged in the worship of the deity, then you can control yourself, and then then after that you can start to develop these feelings, sentiments, and so on, the bhava like that, different stages like that. So of course that's attractive, to be able to serve Krishna. It feels so nice to serve Krishna. I did it without any kind of reward or payment. Wow, feels nice, And then of course that feeling goes on becoming more and more tense. That Krishna was actually, I did something that was actually useful to Krishna. Absolutely. It wasn't very big, but boy, it was something. I did my part, and Krishna appreciated that I helped. So it goes up to higher and higher levels like that. Or I kept this rascal Krishna in line, kept him stealing butter, because my goodness, if he goes on like this, he's going to grow up and become a thief. So I got to take care of this little rascal. Okay, so then 1.7.12, we got back to Sutta Goswami says, very crucial verse in this chapter. He addressed the rishis. He said, "Now I shall begin the transcendental narration of Lord Sri Krishna." Okay, so he's already told the history of the Bhagavatam, the background, why Vyasadeva wrote it, all these things, So where's he going to begin? Like that. 1, topics of the birth, activities, and deliverance of King Parikshit, the sage amongst kings, as well as topics of the renunciation of the worldly order by the sons of Pandu. Like that. So of course chronologically the renunciation of the worldly order by the sons of Pandu fits in after the birth of Maharaj Parikshit, and I guess by the time he must have been grown up, I guess even married maybe, like that. And so there's a picture of the sannyas, Maharaj Yudhisthira taking sannyas. So this is why we are where we are, because let's see, my next picture is here. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, because he said he would talk about the birth of Maharaj Parikshit and renunciation of Pandavas. So the birth of Maharaj Parikshit is important because he's the person who's hearing this. So what kind of student is he? What kind of, if we're going to hear the teacher teach mathematics, and he'd say, "Oh, that's very nice," and he'd say it's kindergarten. I go, "Oh, okay. So you're going to, again, not kindergarten, let's go ahead a little bit, it's first grade. So you're going to teach them to count." "Yeah, we're going to teach them numbers, teach them to count." "Okay." "Oh, it's postgraduate mathematics in Windsor College in England." "Oh, so you're going to be doing Laplace transforms or something like that." "Yes." So very important to know who is Maharaj Parikshit. And his birth, of course, is tied into his activities. So here I found this picture on the internet. You can get past all the horrible things popping up in your face. My God. Then you find some gold amongst the garbage. This was a nice one. I don't know what this one came from. but it's exactly what Arjuna was facing. It's very graphic that he's chasing this rascal Ashvatthama, you know, and then all of a sudden he looks around him and this, you know, thermonuclear blast is starting to go off like that, and makes a quick few prayers to Krishna, glorifies him, he offers obeisances and says, hey, you know, what is this? What's happening? And Krishna tells him, hey, you better take care of this. This is Ashvatthama releasing a Brahmastra. He doesn't know how to withdraw it. Okay, so Arjuna then withdraws both, and he captures Ashvatthama, and then ties him up, I guess, hand and foot. And then it says, actually, in the Krishna Dharma's Mahabharata, you know, he just tosses him right on the floor in the chariot like that. You know, so humiliating. You know. And then what does Krishna say? So here we are. There's verses 35 through 39. Lord Krishna said, Arjuna, you should not show mercy by releasing this relative of a Brahmana, Brahmabandhu, for he has killed innocent boys in their sleep. Okay, here's one reason. 2. A person who knows the principles of religion does not kill an enemy who is careless, intoxicated, insane, asleep, afraid, or devoid of his chariot, nor does he kill a boy, a woman, a foolish creature, or a surrendered soul. Okay, so these are reasons he should be exonerated, but he's not. What's the word? Maybe he's insane. If we're going to become the lawyer for Ashvatthama here later, we can see that maybe he's disqualified under that one. Yeah. But other things, no, we can't exonerate him because he's intoxicated, careless, and also he's what's the word? He's condemned himself because he's killing children. A cruel and wretched person who maintains his existence at the cost of others' lives deserves to be killed for his own well-being. Otherwise he will go down by his own actions. Of course, you try and talk to him, just convince him to give up these activities, but if you can't, then for his well-being, for service to him, you've got to use force to take away his means of exploiting others, to take away his prestige, to actually, even the point is even saying if kill him if it's the only thing that's possible. Of course, this is Mother Urmila's point yesterday, the very first point she made, that this is the essence of the whole thing, is that we're living at the cost of others. And I may be talking more about that a little bit later. Furthermore, I have personally heard you promise Draupadī that she would bring forth the head of the killer of her sons. Yeah. See, he made a vow to his wife, to do this. This man is an assassin, a murderer of your family members. That is an assassin, murder of your family members. Not only that, but he is also dissatisfied as master. He is but the burnt remnants of his family. Kill him immediately. So I can picture maybe that Arjuna, with a couple of scratches on his own body or something, gets Ashvatthama and just throws him into his chariot like that, and maybe even looks at him and gives him a good kick like that and stuff, And then Krishna is seeing that maybe Arjuna's giving him a good kick because his anger is gone, and he wants to make that as his punishment and let him off after beating him a little bit, taking him back and roughing him up in front of Draupadī and then letting go or something, So Krishna's intervening right here and making some statement. Very emotional scenes. A great drama, huh? But we don't have any ISKCON dramas of this. We need it. In the purport, Prabhupada says, the last text, today's text, the son of Dronacharya is condemned here as the burnt remnants of his family. The good name of Dronacharya was very much respected, although he joined the enemy camp. The Pandavas held him always in respect, and Arjuna saluted him before the beginning of the fight. There was nothing wrong in that way. So there was no problem for Dronacharya to take the opposite side. The Pandavas didn't, so that condemned his family lineage, and considering, his position as having served the king and taking vows to the king, they felt that it was, wasn't inappropriate, everything else like that. So in that sense, he was upholding his family tradition, and they respected that. But the son of Dronacharya, Prabhupada says, degraded himself by committing acts which are never done by the Dvijas, or twice-born higher castes. So this is, later says that he committed too many mistakes for the son of a Brahmana. Indra made mistakes to the point of trying to kill the Brijbasis. Brahma very carefully took them away sleeping and kept them in some place to do his activities. But Indra was actually trying to kill the Brijbasis. But then Krishna forgave him. Hey, it's okay, He had a hard day. Just be careful, I had to show you this. But when Brahma came and apologized, Krishna didn't say anything. It seems like Krishna a little bit, because he's Brahma. He should have expected more. So therefore we judge people. Prabhupada says we should follow Parashara's Dharma Shastra. And Parashara says three things have to be committed in the judgment. Some ladies, some Kshatriya or somebody engages in illicit sex, some man and a woman. Okay, what is their caste relationship? He's Kshatriya, she's a Shudrani. Okay, not so bad. If she's like a high-class lady, like a Brahmini, and he's a Shudra guy, okay, this is not very nice. What's the next one? What's her caste relationship? Was she willing or unwilling? Okay, she was willing, maybe more than he was. Okay. Third, was her family protecting her? No, her husband wasn't watching what she was doing, anything at all. She's a barber's wife, and he was more concerned with other women than he was with her even. Okay, it's not just a condemned thing. Parashara says the punishment should be that the mayor, in this case a Kshatriya, should have his head shaved with the urine of a donkey in public. So before the Sunday feast, everybody's out there in the courtyard, somebody's selling popcorn, everybody's sitting there laughing, getting a good seat, and the barber takes his time and pours donkey urine all over the mayor's head, shaves his head. The barber's wife is standing there, totally embarrassed, looking at the ground, and everyone's laughing at it like anything. So for the next few days, the mayor wears a hat when he goes to the office, and has kind of a strange smell about him, and people are kind of like looking to the side and chuckling a little bit. So sufficient, done. Everybody paid the price of their mistake and finished. And the mayor's going to think twice again before doing this twice, and so is the barber's wife. So we have to consider the caste situation, and he committed too many mistakes for the son of a Brahmana, which doesn't mean it wasn't unjustified, but it was just too much. Ashvatthama, the son of Dronacharya, committed murder by killing the 5 sleeping sons of Draupadī, by which he dissatisfied his master, Duryodhana, who never approved of the heinous act of killing 5 sleeping sons of Pandavas. Continued. This means that Ashvatthama became an insulter of Arjuna's own family members, and thus he was liable to be punished by him. Purple, and continued in last. In the Shastras, Prabhupada says, he who attacks without notice, surprise attack from behind, or kills from behind, or sets fire to another's house, or kidnaps one's wife, is condemned to death. Krishna reminded Arjuna of these facts so he might take notice of them and do the needful. Okay. So this is the basic purport, and then Mother Urmila's class yesterday, we were noticing that she was focused on this point of live by exploiting others. So that's one of the complaints that Krishna made about Ashvatthama, and she made these 3 points. We were noticing that exploitation of others can be to the extent of in the mode of ignorance, of abortion, animal slaughter, or even these violent wars and stuff like that. But it also can be in the mode of passion, that marriage can just be a business exchange. I'll gratify your senses if you gratify my senses. So on. And then by exploiting each other. On the mode of goodness, we can do bhakti, right? But not in ecstasy, and contaminated by modes of nature. So even ourselves, we should not live, do bhakti for us living, right? At the expense of Krishna, at the expense of Prabhupada, forcing him to deal with all of our stupid, little mistakes and clean up the mess after we do this contaminated service. He has to make the offering proper. We should actually consider we're making mistakes. We have to be lament about our stupidity, focus on it, and change it like that. So we also have the same contamination as Ashvatthama. One thing that's going to come out here is that Krishna is presenting all of these things. He's presenting this different philosophy, these subtle things, these contaminations, but simultaneously he's also supporting Draupadi's position that he shouldn't be killed, And so the picture up here is, of course, the famous picture of, Bhima wants to kill him, and I think Yudhishthira, Draupadi wants to let him off. So Arjuna has to make a decision, and Krishna's there manifesting 4 arms. So this is an example of Krishna's qualities. Number 15, clever. A person who can perform various types of work at once is called clever. In this connection, one of the gopis said, "My dear friends, just see the clever activities of Sri Krishna. He has composed nice songs about the cowherd boys." That's nice. "And is pleasing the cows. By the movement of his eyes, he is pleasing the gopis. At the same time, he is fighting with demons like Aristasura. In this way, he is sitting with different living entities in different ways, and he is thoroughly enjoying the situation." So I guess Krishna is the ultimate multitasker. I guess if maybe we should offer a Palm Pilot, or whatever else, cell phone, a Kindle reader, on the altar, so the deities can simultaneously be doing all these things. In the modern temple, Krishna with 8 arms, accompanied by iPhone, BlackBerry, everything else, Game Boy. So Krishna in this whole scene is here he's saying kill him, but at the same time too he's supporting Draupadi. So it's very nice that we're faced with situations like this. Okay. "O son of Drona, all wise men will know." Oh yeah. Okay. So in the end, what happens? We'll see in the future that Krishna in the heart. And so many times this point is made. Mother Yashoda trying to give breast milk to Krishna or take care of his milk on the stove. So many choices, not only between what is Maya or devotional service, but even within devotional service. What is my service? And not only like this week, but today, what is my service? And what is my service at this moment? The battle of Kurukshetra, every moment Arjuna had to understand where his service was. Was it to protect Satyaki from being annihilated, or was it to tromp down the Trigartas and hope that somebody else would take care of them? So Arjuna, every moment, as we get into it, really become useful, we have to become tools that are useful and more every moment. And that means we have to be in touch with the Paramatma. Chaita Guru has become very real aspect of our devotional service. And that happens very, very early. Prabhupada says as soon as we get in the mode of goodness, everything will be dictated. Teshnam evanukam partamahama jnanajam tamaha. Initiated devotee. Very important aspect. And not to pretend that we don't hear what the Super Soul is saying. Yes, sir, that's what I do. Super says, don't eat the extra blubjamum. And you say, well, yeah, it will be good for my health, my strength. I will digest it, so on. Yeah, a very subtle thing. And of course, association with the Bhagavatam frequently every day, developing a strong program of hearing and chanting, will allow us to get the framework to be able to stay in touch with the Paramatma nicely. And then Arjuna could understand what to do. So he chopped off his jewel, which I guess is kind of like teeth. Our teeth, the same, like jewels growing right out of our body. So he had the same kind of thing on his head, and that was, he kind of cut off his head then. And actually in Mahabharata, from Krishna Dharma online there, it says he put it in Draupadi's hands like that. It's very nice reading the Mahabharata section. And then it says, the Mahabharata, O son of Drona, all wise men will know you as a coward and a wretch from now on. You will have to endure the fruits of your sinful acts. For 3,000 years you will wander the earth, afflicted by disease and completely alone, unable to speak to anyone. Wretched and foul-smelling, you will dwell in deep forests and dreary wastelands. At the end of this period, purified at last of your sins, you will ascend to the higher regions. Go now, O wicked man. So we can see in ISKCON, somebody does something. Somebody gets some big position and abuses it. I mean, I've heard, even experienced, people who use their GBC position, guru position, to have other people physically assaulted and beaten, like that. Maybe what they thought were good reasons, or also because some tended to establish their own power and authority in some big prosperous, yatra like that, And so these kind of offenses and stuff, Mahabharata is ISKCON. There we go. Different devotees doing different things. Everybody's a part of the family. Some of the devotees, like the Kauravas and the Pandavas, and different kinds of contaminations, amongst us, amongst our own mind. And so then we have to see where we are, how to avoid our own problems. And if we commit big offenses like this, we're devotees. But my goodness, Prabhu, I'm a Prabhupada disciple. Yeah, but you're a Prabhupada bandhu. You're doing things which are just not acceptable. For a Prabhupada disciple would do like that. And so therefore Draupadi's mild and good nature, which we'll see, is not appropriate. She's a good girl, so she has a hard time not being respectful to people because of their social position and stuff like that. But this is natural fault of a lady. But of course it also can be natural good quality. But here, Prabhupada saying it should be put aside. And then maybe then you're going to have to leave ISKCON, by emphasis of Krishna. You're going to have to smoke out and go out and be buried in some kind of karmi work in the middle of New York for years, and smoke a pile of cigarettes, 2 meters deep before you get purified. But here's the thing: you will be purified. And I couldn't find it, but as far as I understand, somewhere I remember, as it says that in the biography, maybe somebody knows, that Ashwatthama accepted. He accepted his chastisement, his punishment, what he'd done, and so then Krishna made him will make him the father. He'll stay all the way through Kali Yuga, all the way through the devastation. And when the next Yuga starts, next Satya Yuga, he'll be the father of the Kshatriya race. He'll be so purified and so wonderful. So he was a really great person, but he did things that were just too far out of line, And so he actually worse than killing him in some ways. And he got this reaction of being humiliated and chastised, and so humiliated he couldn't come back, to the community like that. So, one last points here. Ashwatthama was justified. I guess I got time here. He knew that his father, every boy loves his father, especially this time, loved Arjuna more than him. And what happened? Arjuna and the Pandavas, they used all the knowledge they'd gotten to kill his father, and to kill their guru. And not only that, but they did it in a completely dishonest, cheating fashion. So at that point, there is a lot of justification for why he just went crazy. You can imagine how if you or I are in that situation like that. You knew that your father loved one of his students, your fellow students, more than you. Okay, you put up with it. And what did the boy do with that knowledge? Oh my God, So there's a lot of justification how Ashwatthama was acting. But then he accepted the punishment he'd been given. Another good character quality like that. Duryodhana, it was difficult, but in the end he also accepted a lot of what had happened. And then there's no sin you can commit that you can't correct. So I think one of the biggest lessons from all is that in the end, Krishna arranged that everybody became purified back on and learn from it, and therefore Prabhupada says we shouldn't take these problems, false fall downs, as being so bad in one respect because we can learn from them. Okay, accidental fall down. Okay, don't just reject it. Learn from it. It was an accidental fall down. Okay, why did that happen? How did Maya get past my guard? And then learn from it, and then actually it can be something very useful like that. So, and how the best way to get from all reactions, chant Hare Krishna. Okay, all glory to Prabhupada. Please accept our humble obeisances. So that's our PowerPoint show. Okay. So Prabhupada Gita, any questions, comments, complaints, ambitions?
Alright, I just muted everybody. I'll put it ahead of time. I have 4 questions, but since I ask questions all the time, I'm going to wait to see if others have questions. They can get in there too.
More comments?
Go ahead, Prabhu. Anything?
Gold class, Maharaj.
Maharaj, I have a question. I have a question that's a little peripheral.
Who is this?
You know what, Prabhu? I'm sorry, but there's actually 3 people that spoke all of at the same time. But actually, Vidagdha Madhava Prabhu sounded like he was the first one to come in, so maybe we should give preference to him. Then after that, Balabhadra Prabhu. The third, I couldn't tell who that was. Vidagdha, please go ahead.
Okay, Maharaj, Dandavats.
Same to you.
So the 9 processes, Sadhusanga, Shraddha, Sadhusanga, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha-Nivritti, Nishta, Ruchi, Anubhava, Prem. That was the Abhirama verse.
Yeah, because there's 2 kinds of 9 processes. One is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada, Sevanam, Archanam. And here it's defining, maybe they're related like that, but it doesn't sound exactly, maybe they are. Anyway, here's just defining 9 different levels of development of prema, which I guess could happen completely within the range of Shravanam. You could be hearing like as a formality, then you could be hearing with adherence, and you could be hearing with love, and you could be hearing with separation, like that.
Yeah, it's got to go into the heart, through the ear, into the heart.
That's what.
Thank you.
That's when that lady Mary Angelou something. She's a poet, Nobel laureate. She says, poetry means you write it in such a fashion that it catches the person's body by the rhythm, by the rhyming and stuff, catches their mind, and then you got to write it so it carries them past the mind and touches their heart. Poetry is Paramatma Gyan. Wow, it's incredible. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Balabhadra Prabhu.
Maharaj, I remember hearing how Ashwatthama would be elevated to a more favorable position at the end of Kali Yuga, and because of that, is there any reason to believe that his bad behavior was a sort of leela or something like that? Is there any reason to believe that?
I mean, it could be. When he was talking about Ramananda Roy, bathing young girls and all this kind of stuff, and teaching them to dance for Lord Jagannath, as I remember there, in the purport, Prabhupada says that you and I can't judge these things. Only person who can judge these things is Lord Chaitanya and his Nityananda and the Lord's intimate associates. They can see what's lila and what's actually attachment. So as far as you and I go, we can judge things in terms of what we know. Then beyond that, we just have to judge them in terms of the general standard that we can apply. So in this case, as far as I know, there's no mention that I know of Ashwatthama that this all was just Krishna's Leela, but it may be, he may have been conscious that Krishna was using him for some reason, but it may have been to some contamination, some contamination there, and he got rid of that. He came out. Krishna may have irritated it to bring it out, and then it was chastised and purified, eliminated, and he got rid of it at that point. I remember I had experiences this with Gurukula kids. One time, one kid accidentally hit another kid in the face with a stick. Didn't mean to. And the kid who got hit just grabbed the stick from his hand and started to hit him in the face like that out of rage. And so it's very quick, But my intelligence, stopped them, and I chastised the kid who was hitting him and told him to go away. And he wanted to be apologized because he was in a moment of rage. But my very strong impression was, no, I can't let him off. I didn't hit him or anything, but sometimes go away, So I forced him to go away. I ostracized him. Then later on, we were all going back to the temple. He wanted to hold my hand, and I took his hand, But as I understand what Krishna had done, he used me to put way deep in his intelligence this thing, because in that one split second, he could have grabbed his mind and his senses, and he could have not responded, but with that violence, There was a split second there when he could have grabbed it. And so after that experience as a child and everything else, if it happened again, then there would be that experience there to save him. And as an adult, he may have killed somebody. But because he got this moment of experience and he accepted it, he said, yeah, it was right. I could have done it. And I can't pretend that I couldn't have done it. It was so close, but I could have done it. You're right. I'm wrong. I'm sorry. I won't let it happen again. I'll be more careful. So I think that's what happened with Ashwatthama.
Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Okay.
Maybe it was Roy Rama. I couldn't tell. Anyone? Anyone have a question or comment?
Comment?
I did.
Oh, Jai Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol. It kind of goes back to what Vidagdha Madhava Prabhu brought up. And it came to me, I was thinking about this when you were reading the 7th verse from this chapter about the benefits of oral reception, extinguishing the fire of lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness. And that made me think of a verse, something that Srila Prabhupada said in a purport in the 12th chapter of the 1st canto, where he says, let me see, the sages of Naimisharanya were very respectful in hearing about Maharaj Parikshit because of his receiving knowledge from Shukadev Goswami by means of ardent hearing. Ardent hearing from the bona fide spiritual master is the only way to receive transcendental knowledge. So I was wondering if you'd talk a little bit about ardent hearing.
Oh my goodness, okay. This is B.A. Ashram Maharaj?
Yes.
Well, Maharaj, I haven't met you. Where are you from?
Mostly Hawaii and Southern California.
Okay, have we met before?
Probably not.
Okay. Yeah, because
if you haven't been to Hawaii or San Diego, we probably haven't met.
Yeah, because San Diego I haven't visited recently. I go there sometimes, but all the time my whole service was in San Francisco, like that and so on, until I took sannyas, and I'm still hanging around there. Well, it's nice to meet you. Okay.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. Ardent hearing. So the thing, of course, what comes to my mind would be, utsahan, nishchaya, daryat, utsahan, enthusiastic hearing. It sounds about the same thing. Of course, utsahan, nishchaya, nishchayina means determined hearing, and the other one, daryat, means, of course, patient, And Kritakarma told me, you heard Prabhupada say, one recorded class, that enthusiasm is more important than patience, like that, At the most, in other words, faced with any situation, if it's okay, I'll calm down here, I'll wait a little bit. Okay, that's good. But the more important is, okay, what am I going to do with this problem? How am I going to focus my attention? Am I going to stand up and so I won't fall asleep? Am I going to take notes? Am I going to be patient with things I disagree with or don't understand, or am I going to be enthusiastic and try and maybe bring them up and maybe raise my hand even before the class is over to try and bring these points up, So Prabhupada defines utsahan, enthusiasm there, as action executed in Krishna consciousness with intelligence. Yeah. So ardent hearing, I would say, is is exact opposite of lazy hearing. Was it Shruti Kirti? I've heard he said he developed the art of being able to sit in Prabhupada's classes and sleep with his eyes open. He would just sit there, I guess, exhausted by all his service. He'd be there and smile and have his eyes open. And actually, maybe you've all experienced this. You can turn your brain off because the brain requires energy. The mind requires energy. Somebody, I was just reading this book on memory development here. He says that if you make somebody think that they are thinking, they'll be happy with you. But if you actually make them think, they'll become angry with you. Like that. It's much easier to dig ditches than it is to think. You're saying. So ardent hearing means not only just do we arduous, we do the work. You make your mind engaged in the thing. It's not spacing out, thinking about this or that. And if it takes some kind of, basically what? It takes sit properly. It takes breathe properly. All the techniques we develop. Everybody's got different techniques. Somebody's. I know one of our godbrothers here, ISKCON members, his name Chandrasekhar Maharaj. When he was a brahmachari, he could not chant his japa without his legs moving. He'd fall asleep. So he would stand in front of Prabhupada during the japa thing in San Francisco, running in place, with his running in place, his feedback, chanting his rounds to stay awake. And somebody else, he's an international chess master. He can keep 7 games of chess in his mind at one time and apply all his experience. But he has almost no acoustical memory, acoustical intelligence. It's all visual. And so I showed him these yantra with all these lines. Then by constructing that thing mentally while he was chanting his rounds, he could actually keep his mind under control. So different techniques. Use those, learn those, what it is to hear. And then after that, the mind, and then finally the intelligence of why am I hearing, how does it apply to me. We should be listening with intelligence. What is the purpose of my hearing, and how is this going to help me? Those two things. What is the goal, and how can I achieve it? Really be working on how is this useful to me in my service, and what is my service, and how is this going to be useful to me? And then it becomes, I think that's what I would understand, like taking the word utsahan. Is that okay?
Yes, it's a nice perspective. Thank you.
Okay.
Maharaj, you just reminded me of something. In the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in the 16th verse, there's no possibility of one's becoming a yogi. Arjuna, if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough. And you reminded me of the story of Shruti Kirti. The devotees at some point in the Boston temple, so many people were nodding out in the Bhagavatam class that they resorted to squirt guns.
Oh yeah.
And I guess, there's a period where, you're just fighting to cut down on your sleep. We weren't accustomed to 6 hours or even less. And that would affect our ability to hear properly. So, yeah, you need proper rest according to your needs. Otherwise, you're going to be useless.
And that's enthusiasm. Using, figuring out, what kind of environment you need for your senses and stuff. In the beginning, we're dependent on them. Later on, we can surpass them, and stuff. But in the beginning, we're very much dependent, I think, on our yogic position of our senses.
Right.
Anyone else have a question or comment? Or can I get a couple of quickies in here?
Oh, certainly, yeah. It's
okay. The analogy that Krishna is giving about burnt remnants of his family. Tell me if this is right thinking. It's like if you have a fire sacrifice in varying stages, valuable thing, but what comes out of it when it's turned, like a burnt banana or something, after that it's useless. So is that the analogy, that even though he's coming from a very exalted family, he's like useless?
Yeah, I think it's the same thing. Yeah, the fire was useful, like you're saying, exactly, for as fire sacrifice or just for warming up the house on a cold night. But then, when it's all used up and everything else, it's just all the value's gone out like that.
Okay. The 81 different varieties of devotional service that you mentioned, how does that come about? Yeah, I understand. 3 most mature nature, 3 times 3 is 9, 9 times 9 is 27, 3 times 27 is 81, but still, how do you get that? How is that, what does that correspond to?
I think it also corresponds to the people under the modes. A little bit of argument about this, because I can't find where Prabhupada exactly says that, but it's also not just devotional service, but it's also people in the modes of nature. Because, for example, his karma is kind of tamasic karma, so he may never rise beyond what's this called, private in the army. He's been a private in the army for 40 years. He's going to stay that way. He's going to retire that way. So what is he? He's a Shudra, Kshatriya. And somebody else is a general. So he doesn't even maybe even not that good at personal combat, but he has Kshatriya character. But maybe he's a Brahmana, Kshatriya, or in espionage. He's in espionage. So his real thing is Kshatriya, but he's so like that. There's different combinations. Myself, as far as I can tell, I am Shudra, Brahmana. It's always actual combat, physical combat. In fact, for me, it's like it's either my nature is either to avoid it, or else go for the kill. One or the other. I don't like. I was Oriental. I was born on Guam. I was Oriental consciousness. Either you avoid, yes sir, bow down 99 times, avoid conflict. But on the 100th time, that's it. You just go to cut the guy's throat, or kick him from the bottom all the way up to his teeth, one swift blow. So that's my nature, And on the other hand, I have to do physical labor. I'm a stupid, I'm attracted to that. So I have my Shudra tendency, I need to be under somebody else's direction, or else under my own direction when I'm a Brahmana. So that's what I think. It's just a combination that can be one or the other, and it's just different people. It's Kshatriya, Brahmana, Brahmanas, Vaishya, Kshatriya, Shudra, Shudra, Vaishya. I guess beyond 81, it starts to become ridiculous. If you've got 81 personality types, that should be close enough to get in touch with the super soul at that point. Somebody's microphone is hissing. They just turned their microphone on there. If you just turned your microphone, there we go, we got it. Yeah, whoever it was. Yeah. So that's okay.
That's wonderful. Can I ask another question?
Yeah, but what are you? Are you a Shudra, Brahmana, Kshatriya, or what?
I think it's Sudra, Brahmana.
Okay. Okay. You got humility, so we got to toss one more Brahmana at least.
What you read from Srila Prabhupada's purport about how the devotional service advances the stage of neutrality, eternity, and then eventually the conjugal love. We understand that within, like, let's say, fraternity, the other rasas are there, like servitorship and neutrality. And as you go higher, the other rasas are within those rasas. But the way Srila Prabhupada is explaining the purport, it almost sounds like an evolution. In other words, the devotee first is in Shanta rasa, and then he develops until he finally gets to Madhurya rasa. So could you shed some light on that?
Yeah, do you see the screen? On the screen there it says, the attachment of an inactive devotee develops up to the stage of transcendental love. Attachment of an active servitor develops up to the stage of.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Read the fine print.
Yes. Now.
We get a fine print with it. Chant Hare Krishna and be happy, but there's fine print below that. Chant Hare Krishna without motivation, and be happy. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Prabhu, does anyone else have a last question or comment?
I'll ask a question. Maharaj, in yesterday's class, because this is all sort of a thread of that it's actually a merciful act to, kill, such a wretched person, as stated in yesterday's text. So in the purport yesterday, I was going to ask a question, and I've had a lot of time to think about that. I couldn't ask it because we ran out of time, and I've had time to think about a possible answer, but I was wondering what your thoughts are. It stated that in the Shmriti Shastra that men who are punished by the king on the principle of a life for life are purified of all sins, so much so that they may be eligible to be promoted to the planets of heaven. That sounds like a pretty good, like a really good deal.
Yeah.
What normally you'd think maybe, okay, they become purified of their sins, but now eligible to be promoted to the planets of heaven. So I had a thought on that. I was wondering what your thoughts are.
Oh, okay. Me first. Okay.
Okay, but you exclusively. But go ahead.
No, because see, in the instructions of ninth chapter, first canto, Bhishmadev gives instructions on these Dharma Shastras to Yudhisthira, like text 26, 27, something like that. And those two purports are just fantastic. A few purports probably just summarizes everything, and every single word is like, it's like a little mini Varnashram Dharma thing in just one page, 2 pages. And so in there he says the Brahmanas should study Parasara's Dharma Shastras and the Manu Samhita to give guidance for the Kshatriyas. So I mentioned that, okay, with a little adventure, that we went up to the University of California Berkeley Library. Okay, University of California has 1 million books, okay. And it was a whole adventure. In the end, 4 librarians were like looking for us. And they were really, you could tell they were happy. Oh my God, this make my day. They were going through all these databases and searching. And finally one of them said, I got it, And it was in a card catalog, old card catalog, sitting by itself. And he said, it's an English version in the law library, So I went over there and found it. And that was also a strange experience. So Parasara's Dharma Shastra, it's online on our website. Our website is Bhati, BHATI.org. Kind of like Bhakti without the K, whatever that means. Bhati.org, that's our Neos thing. And there it's there in the archives, it's there. You can download a PDF of the thing. And I've heard, after that, I heard Prabhupada in room conversations and stuff, saying things about what should be done, what shouldn't be done. And he was quoting. He was quoting from Parasara's thing there, So as I remember, it's there that one of the things that Parasara says, that when the king is in this darbar, he's there in the court with the queen, she has to be there with his ministers, and the people, they're allowed to come and make their presentations, So some guy comes with his hands outstretched, balancing a sword across his arms, He comes to kings and he said, I in a fit of rage, I killed my brother, like this and that. And the king at that point, he puts the sword before the king and bows his head. At that point, and this is in Parasara's, I remember the king has 2 choices. The king can take the sword up and chop the guy's head off right there in the court. I guess the queen pulls her dress up like that. Yeah? Or else he can take full responsibility for the guy's simple reactions at that point. This is a heavy job. Like, I want to be king. Most people probably figure out very quickly they don't want to be king. At that point, you're going to make that decision right there. Just chop the guy's head right off, or else take responsibility. So and for the guy to come and confess, not always, but probably say such a degree, for him to come and confess and love.
Did we lose them?
I hear just a bunch of hissing.
Yeah.
Ramananda, what's up?
Can't figure.
We lost him. It was a cliffhanger. He was.
Yeah, what's
It was
going on?
pretty cool stuff he was saying, and then we lost him. A tease.
Hit the button.
No, Maharaj is still here, and his voice is being picked up. In other words, I see bars.
Right, but we don't hear him.
Oh, 1 second.
Here we go. There you go,
Right.
Maharaj.
Now you can hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You need to start all over again,
we
Maharaj.
dropped off, but you can...
Basically, when the guy surrenders, if he surrenders completely, and the king chastises him, the punishment can go so deep that it can not only get rid of that sin, but it can get rid of all kinds of other sins that are affiliated, and actually become a pious credit.
Well, that was a pretty big leap, pious credit. I could see it getting rid of all the sins, but then you threw in there at the very end, pious credit. What do you mean by that?
No, because, for example, you get pious credit for doing austerity of planting trees by the side of the road, by digging wells, and so it's to your credit. Or sometimes Shimbatan Swakata Krishna, just by letting yourself hear, by receiving the message, you acquire pious credits. So the same way too, by letting yourself, letting the doctor, penetrate and do this work, then it actually you become healthy. It gives you some credit, not just removes the problem. Like a doctor, he pulls out the bad tooth and puts in a prosthetic tooth there, a functional tooth, like that, so on. So.
Okay.
Maharaj, on that point where
our last question here, last comment. Yeah.
Is on that point where Prabhupada says so much so that they may be eligible for being promoted to the heavenly planets. When I read that, it kind of sounds like it's not really a common thing. Right.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe eligible. Doesn't say they go. Yeah.
What I was thinking when I was meditating on that since yesterday was the fact that, and this may or may not be correct, so I was interested in your thoughts, is that my understanding of karma is that we do good things and bad things, and we may develop through life, good reactions and bad reactions. They don't wash one another out. In other words, we're culpable still for all the negative things that we've done. And at the same time, we have to our credit the positive things. And I would give as example was Nriga, when King Nriga went before Yamaraj, and he said, well, we have lots and lots and lots of good karma coming, but you got one bad one. He was making reference to the cow that was given to a Brahmin, given to two different Brahmins, and one was very dissatisfied. So Yamaraj said, okay, now what do you want to do first? You want to have your one bad reaction and get that over with, or all the good ones? What would you rather do first? And of course he chose to take the negative first, and he came back as a lizard. So my thoughts is that since they're all there, the good and the bad, it says in this section that if one is killed life for life, he's purified of all sins, therefore he may be eligible to be promoted to heavenly planets. Well, if one had done many, many terrible things, but he did some good things also, that once he became purified of the negative sins, then those positive things may allow him to be promoted to the heavenly planets once he's purged the negative. That was my thought.
Yeah, also in text number 1, Vipadeshamrita, by the very beginning of the purport, Prabhupada says, a sinful activity cannot be counteracted by a pious activity. Like that. So I always remember that too. But also there is praise, what's the word, prayaschita? If you do something, there is also to this fact, certain pious activities are designed to pay off your debt. More like maybe that sort of, you're not counteracting it, but you're actually paying it off. Okay, I got to suffer for this, but I'll take my suffering right now and pay it off. So I've done that, Yeah. Okay, I got to go because it's almost 1 o'clock here, and we got to do our whole Sunday and everything else like that. But these classes for me are always so nice, and the chance to get association with devotees and everything else like that, so on. So thanks to the organizers who are, Brahmana Shudras for doing all this work.
That's Ramananda.
Hare Krishna.
All right, thank you very much, Bruce. Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Guys. Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.